Let's take a look at some basic titling with Boris Continuum Complete. So first I'm going to move up to the BCC 3D objects here. And just because it says 3D objects, we don't have to use these to do big chunky 3D text. As we'll see in just a moment, we can also use these to do interesting effects on flat 2D text as well. Now, to create a new text layer, I actually don't have to do very much. What I am going to do is create a new video track. And then I'm going to come over to my BCC Extruded Text filter and just drag it into the empty gap on V2. And let's just trim that up. Don't need that quite as large. And come back to the start and shift the focus back onto V2. And we'll see something big has happened now. It's saying click Launch Text Window to open the text window to enter text. Lots and lots of text there. So how do we get to this text window? Let's go into effects mode and take a look at our BCC Extruded Text filter. And you'll see that the first thing at the top is Launch Text Window. Now, if you've ever used any sort of Boris titling software before, this window here is going to be very familiar to you. All I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, call this 3D text, and I can select my layer and change the font if I need to. We'll stick with something quite fat. So I'm going to go with the Source Sans Pro Black and hit apply. And now I have my big chunky 3D text. Now, depending how you have your system set up, this text might look, as it does here, look a little bit jagged. And if we open up the render here, you'll see that the reason is at the moment we're following Avid's own draft quality. So if I change the video quality down here, you'll see that my render quality on the 3D text also gets better and we don't have those jagged edges anymore. Now, if I turn off Follow Avid Draft Quality, it does start to tidy up those edges a little bit there. And if we wanted to, we can also turn the polygon count up as well to take out any sort of remaining jaggies that we have. But I think for the time being, we're just going to stick this following the Avid Draft Quality here and take advantage of the speed. Now, as obviously as the name implies, this is extruded text, and we can change the extrusion depth up and down just using the slider here. And this is also 3D text. So if I come down to the bottom and open up the transformations, and I can then change the orientation here just a little bit so we can see that just a wee bit better. There we go. Now, obviously that is a mighty extrusion, and we can take that down as much as we need to. We can even take it down to 0, and the same with the bevel as well. We can stick on a mighty bevel or take the bevel down very, very fine, very, very thin. And obviously, as this is a BCC effect, we do have loads and loads of presets as well to start to work with, both with the extrusion style and with the bevel style as well. Now, this is still 3D text, and because it's 3D text, we're able to apply materials. So if I change my material here to something like a blue plastic or metal chrome, you can see the different styles we have there and the difference it's making to the text, also in terms of how the light is being picked up on the image itself. And if I want to, I can easily change the color either by single clicking and picking something from the image itself, or I can just double click and bring up the system color viewer here, color picker here. And we can also add a bit more texture to this front as well by using bump maps. And again, we have a load of different presets that we can start working with, or we can choose different layers as well to create that bump map there. For the time being, we'll just add a small, just while we're here, we'll add a small bit of bump. There we go. And let's change my diffuse here, make it a little bit brighter. And we can make multiple materials as well. So we can have one material that covers the whole object, or we can separate this out to multiple materials on the same object. And as I play around with the orientation here, you can see that's now picking up the light and reflecting it with my high specular strength and high highlight amount. Let's take that highlight amount a little bit further down again. There we go. And we'll turn the draft quality up a little bit more now so we can actually see this properly. And obviously all this is animatable as well. So if I just add a couple of keyframes, Well, here we've got some rotating text. Cool. And obviously, we can also apply motion blur to that. So if I come back to my render settings here, enable motion blur, and we can choose the smoothness of it and the shutter angle. A higher motion blur shutter angle is going to give us a more pronounced effect, but we also probably want to turn up the motion blur smoothness here to get the best sort of value out of it. If we take a look down the bottom here, we've also got some deformers that we can use as well. And these deformers are really powerful. And once you know how to work the deformers on one of these filters, they work in exactly the same way across the entire category. So the deformers let us do things like bend in fun and interesting sorts of ways, or we can also use things to shatter. And obviously, this is a great way of doing transitions. So we can just shatter our text as it comes in from right to left. Fantastic. Exploding even before it's come on screen. That's the sort of text you really want. There we go. So you get the idea. And we've got so many different controls that we can start to play around with. This really is a very, very powerful, very customizable effect. If we take a look at the next one, we're going to do type on here. Do exactly the same thing as did before. And let's launch my text window here. And I'm going to get really creative with this. Type on text. There we go. Look at that. Cool. And again, let's quickly just go to the extrusion. I'll turn my extrusion down and turn my bevel down quite significantly as well. Give it a little bit of a bevel, like that sort of subtle 3D look. That's cool. And on my materials, I'll just change my front material so the diffuse is a little bit more visible. So we'll take it a nice blue, turn the ambient intensity up a little bit, change where the light source is as well. And remember, because you've got these little UI widgets on, you can do that directly within the viewer. Really nice, really fast. So the fun bit of this effect is what sort of transformation we're going to do. We're going to be doing a reveal effect or a remove effect. Well, let's do a reveal to begin with. Okay, so let's have a look now at how it's going to be typing on. So we know where the endpoint's going to be. The endpoint is going to be this here. We need to change the endpoint. We change it in transformations. What we do with the type on reveal is we're actually going to say where it's going to be coming from or how it's going to be animating in. So the simplest thing for a type on is we turn the fade down to 0 and we just get a small opacity change coming up. Let's have a look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Lovely. And we can change the reveal time to be longer or shorter so that it types on faster or slower. And we can also have the overlap being a little bit longer or shorter so that we can change how it actually comes in here. So now it's more of a sort of soft wipe on rather than a type on. So we'll change the overlap to 0. You can see it's animating one letter at a time. There we go. Now we can also come in and add in other elements as well. So if we wanted to animate in from the left, all we do is we change the position X to a negative number, and now you can see it's animating in from the left as well as fading in. And let's change the reveal time up a little bit more on that and take the overlap up just so you can see that a bit easier. There you go. And we can even change the reveal order as well to be forward, reverse or random. So if we take the random on here, you can see just randomizing which letters come on first. This one looks like it's just randomly going to icon text. So if we don't want that, if that doesn't seem random enough for you, we just change the random seed. And that should be a little bit more random there. Cool. And we can do exactly the same thing for the remove effect as well. Do we have presets? Of course we have presets. Tons of presets for you to have a little look at up here. So most of the common sort of things that you're going to be doing, on with a long overlap, off, on, off, loads of good stuff going on there. And again, with the render, if we turn on enable motion blur, this adds just a little bit more dynamism to it there. So let's just render the effect out. Nice little dynamic type on text with motion blur. Lovely. So this is a great way of animating your text without using any keyframes whatsoever. And of course, it works in conjunction with all of the other sorts of things. So you can make your nice 3D extruded text as well and animate that in, have it rolling in doing whatever you need to, as well as typing on simultaneously. And that's the basic idea behind titling with the BCC Extruded Text and Type on Text.